I'm sick of wasting time. I'll take a step back from all of this and try to find my way out of this shit. It's a labyrinth and I keep stumbling. I'm lost and broken, but I'm getting up again. They try to put me in a cage, but I won't get in. I look into the mirror and I see my better twin. I see my past life and I see my better twin.
Hello, everybody. I'm back. Less ragey and more ready to go over the Idaho versus Stacey Wondra motion to suppress review. There's some bombshells. There are a lot of bombshells that should enrage everyone, to be honest with you. So if you haven't watched my last live, go ahead and do that when you have time. After this one, of course. It is wild, to say the least. So we're going to continue where we left off. Like I said, I had to get off of the live because I was so angry at what they did in the Michael Vaughan investigation in regards to Stacey Wondra and the 4 suspects. I have no words. I just have no words for what they did to Sarah. And we'll get into it. We're going to recap that here momentarily. But I wanted to say hi to everybody that I know it's a late live and everything like that. But I wanted to at least go over a little bit more, because who knows when I have the time to do this again. Busy mom life, but we're going to continue. We're just going to go straight into it. But before that, everybody that's in chat, hi, hello. Hello, hi. Let's see who's here. Miss Rootbug, thank you. Perfect timing, just finished part 1. Perfect. Great. Glad you're here, love. Sunflower Soul, hey again. Thank you for being here. Thank you. And everybody that's watching the replay, thank you for watching. Hit that like button. Doesn't cost anything. Takes a millisecond. And I appreciate it. So my name is Eve. This channel is called The Eve Effect, where I discuss true crime. True crime related matters. And this is about a 5-year-old missing boy in July 27th, 2021 in Paya, Idaho. And no one seen Michael. No one saw where he went. No one knows where he is. And we jump to now a person named Stacey Wondra, who has been alleged to have murdered and kidnapped and destroyed evidence in regards to Michael. He was charged, Stacey Wondra was charged on June 25th, 2025, and here we are. And we're going over the motions. And if you don't know, on this channel, I do not want you to believe what I believe. I just want to be transparent and tell you where I'm at, what I feel, but I don't want to sway anyone on the totality of this. But I do believe that these 4 suspects that have been named, and the only one charged is Stacey Wondra with this crime, I don't believe that he did this crime, and I don't believe what the prosecution is stating in any way whatsoever. And the more and more these motions come out, the stronger my beliefs are in that. So the last live that I did just a few hours ago, I was doing great until we got to the part where I realized that Chris McDonough, who everyone should know if you're in the true crime, community or whatever you want to call it. Chris McDonough is a big figure, not only, doing appearances on Nancy Grace and all of that stuff, but he has his own show, which has been very successful. But he has involved himself in his Cold Case Foundation, which is basically a group of professionals, a nonprofit that helps try to solve cold cases. And sometimes they're not always cold, like this case, Michael Vaughan at the time. and Summer Wells, 2 5-year-olds that went missing around the same time, only a month apart. Very strange circumstances, but very similar. There's a lot of things that mirror each other, especially the mysterious disappearance and not having anything to go on except for wild, crazy tunnel vision. Tunnel vision. All right. So let's get into it because I know it's late. It's the middle of the week, right? Tuesday. And I'm sure I won't get a lot of views. That's not what this is about because replay is going to be baller tomorrow. Once people see the shorts that I'm going to put out and they get the gist of what this motion is hinting at, and not hinting at, directly facing it head on, I think people are going to be interested in getting to know more about this. It's bad, y'all. It's not just, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's horrible what they did to one of the alleged suspects, Stacey Wondra. So we're going to go over that. And I am angry, but I am calmed down. Okay, so let's go. Yeah, please hit that like button and hello, lies. So where we left off was we were talking about, Stacey Wondra passed his polygraph, guys. There was no deception detected in May of 2022 when he was polygraphed. He wasn't lying. He wasn't being deceptive in any way, shape, or form about that. Hey, Stacey can tell the truth sometimes, right? But what I made a point of is that the father of this missing child, Michael Vaughan, didn't pass some of the alleged questions, like where did you take Michael? So I'm kind of angry about that's not cleared up to the fact of what that potential deception was. What was the deception of where did you take Michael then? If it wasn't a big deal, it should just be easy. I took him to McDonald's, took him fishing, took him to the river, took him to a park, whatever. Doesn't matter. We still don't even know the answer to that question because we're all supposed to just not acknowledge the problem with the fact that a question was deceptive to a polygrapher twice. So that's where we left off. And then right before I ended the live, I was going over, again, Chris Madonna from the Cold Case Foundation got involved in October of 2022 with the Fruitland Police Department, who was investigating Michael's case. And that's when I learned what they were doing when she went to a mental facility. Okay. And not only that, we were talking about the detectives using Stacey's mother, the only support system he's had his whole life. A man with an IQ of 69 who is prone to false confessions, didn't even finish high school. Okay. Went to a group home in 10th grade and never got any further education. This is what they did by using his mother to give and get information they thought would be helpful. But really in reality, you start to notice that it was a setup from the jump. Easy target. These people were easy targets. And they knew it, and they were warned by the FBI of the false confession potential, and they did it anyway, and they got it. In my opinion. So, let's go. Because I can ramble on a lot more than that, but I won't. So, in October of 2022, Detective Kelleher and Detective Crimmin engaged Mr. McDonough, cold case guy, from Cold Case Solutions to assist them with their investigations. As part of this assistance, on October 13th, 2022, they stopped by the Red Wing house where they had a conversation with Sarah. During October 2022, Sarah's mental health was poor. Between October 13th and October 20th of 2022, Fruitland Police Department was dispatched to Red Wing house at least 5 times for welfare checks, for Sarah praying in the front yard for hours on end. Well, guess what, folks? I have that report. I have one of the reports. And shame on the neighbor across the street, John, for taking a picture of her rolling in the driveway, which, don't get me wrong, I've had my giggles on it. I've even said I'm having a Sarah Wondra moment, meaning I'm having a rolling in the driveway kind of psychosis today because this case is driving me nuts. I mean, but at the same time, the exploitation of people with mental health problems is so shameful in this case, especially from specifically the mother of this case. I am ashamed that this is what Michael's case is. I am so ashamed that that's what this is. And to exploit people with disabilities like this, no matter what you think they should deserve, people should rot in hell for that. To exploit people like that, especially people in law enforcement. How could you do that? This is why people have these problems and don't get help, because there's nobody in power to help, because they abuse it. And that's what made me so sad. That's what makes me so sad. And I just don't know. I don't have any other words for it, you know? It's wrong. Okay. So the detectives, meaning Chris McDonough and Crimin and Kelleher, go to Sarah. They just stopped by where they had a conversation as she was having poor mental health issues for things related to this case. They've been pretty much going after them and surveying them since November of 2021. And I'm pretty sure someone with insulin-dependent diabetes, and then later found out she was schizophrenic, that would be a very heavy burden to bear. Not having insulin at the time, or maybe not being on their medication, their psychotic medication. You don't know what people are going through. As a detective, frankly, they don't give a shit most of the time. That's why we have people that end up murdered by the police, because they were the person was mentally ill and they didn't have the proper training. It's a very big problem in Idaho, specifically in that area. Caldwell, there was a recent autistic child that was murdered. I mean, there's a problem here. And it did not stop in Fruitland, did it? Nor did it stop with the Cold Case Foundation guy. So it's very sad. So on October 20th of 2022, after Sarah was questioned by the detectives and Mr. McDonough, they prayed with Sarah, guys. They prayed with her on her driveway and then sought an involuntary commitment on her. I would never trust a soul in my life again after that, especially law enforcement. Not a single one of them. How do you trust someone like that? No matter what. But that's not really the problem. It goes further. During this time, the detectives reached back out to Tammy, who was Stacey Wondra's adopted mother, the only mother he's had, by the way. They reached back out to Tammy and started sharing information with her about the investigation, as well as the possibility that Sarah was trying to reach a deal in her federal case by providing information about the disappearance of Michael Vaughan. That is huge. The detectives were telling the mother of a suspect, a person of interest, rather, at the time. He was not a suspect. He was just a person of interest. And began sharing this detailed information, or sharing information with her about this investigation that the public could barely get anything out of these people. But that there's a possibility that Sarah was trying to reach a deal in her federal case by providing information about the disappearance of Michael Vaughan. Let's just entertain that for a minute because we don't know for a fact if that's true or not. I doubt it. But maybe there is something in regards to, the gun thing, the federal gun thing that is unrelated to Michael. But what if there's a person or a group of people that were involved in something that's related to Michael? Maybe there's something else going on, which I've always suspected in the first place. That there are people that they surrounded themselves with that maybe had the perfect opportunity to set this whole thing up on them. It's a possibility. Because they let everybody in their house. Because Sarah was a God woman. She wanted to help her brethren. She took the Bible very seriously and too literally because of her mental state and who she is and what she's gone through. And people took advantage of that. So let's just entertain that for a second, that that's true. If she was trying to reach a federal deal in regards to providing information about Michael Vaughan, how would that work? How would that actually work? How would that actually be a thing? If they couldn't do it for Stacey, which is what Stacey thought was happening. Stacey thought that was happening for him. But it obviously didn't work, did it? Did they try that on Sarah too? Is that what they were trying to do? I bet your ass they were. I can't tell you for a fact, but this is the kind of manipulation. And this is why I say, no, don't you ever talk to the cops without a lawyer present. Never. This is what they will do. Or assume they will. So, as detectives were feeding Tammy this information, she would in turn talk to Stacey over the phone about what she was being told by the detectives. So when you hear these cockamamie live streams from the guilters, we'll call them, people that believe that Stacey's guilty, you will hear things like, he wouldn't have known that information if he wasn't the real person that did this to Michael. Well, joke's on you, isn't it? Because right there is exactly how he got the information. Through a third party, his own mother, because the detectives were feeding her this information, trying to get something out of Stacey. And remind you, they were already told, these detectives, that he was prone to false confession, which means that if they knew about it, this was premeditated and on purpose to get him to false confess. This is what's the word? There's not even a word. It's intentional deception. It's gross. It's slimy. And you should not, in my opinion, invest a damn dollar or an ounce of time in people like this, especially if they have a platform. Because that's not honorable. That's slimy. It's gross. This is evident during several recorded jail conversations. On October 21st, 2022, Tammy told Stacey, quote, "They can only tell me so much." So this is Tammy talking to Stacey while in jail in Washington County in Weiser, Idaho. "They can only tell me so much, but the reason they called me is because if you do know something, they know your circumstances. They know that you aren't in a place to be able to take care of yourself." Well, why is that? What do you mean? Is it because you can't keep a job? You can't keep income without other people, Stacey, right? Because you are not the norm. You have some deficiencies. And you will learn later on that he is mentally handicapped. I mean, you should know this if you're following this case, but if you didn't, you know now. So they're exploiting his mother by exploiting his deficiencies and how hard it was on her, right? To try to get information or to try to rush to the end goal of this case, get a slam dunk, alleged confession, and call it a day, in my opinion. So, and they know, she says, that she may or may not say something about you, meaning Sarah. They don't know what she is going to say, but the fact that she said, hey, I know something about Michael, they wanted me to let you know that she's doing or going to be doing that. So if there's like anything, like I said, half truth or anything that might make you look even a little bit guilty, if you know something, you got to say it. You're so busy telling me that you don't know anything, and yet all of these things are pointing to your guys' house. And the only thing that's really pointing to their house is a scent trail in the early first week of Michael's disappearance on August 1st and 2nd. There was a trail of allegedly Michael's scent being in the front of the man gate area, which I've said before could be a contaminated scent item from the house that was actually somebody from the house and not Michael. Because scent trail dogs that the FBI requested, her name was Banshee, a bloodhound who's passed away, rest in peace. She was top notch, guys. I don't doubt her ability. I doubt what the scent was that was given. And so if there's no CCTV footage of Michael over there, and that's all you got, there's no DNA evidence of Michael ever being around, in the yard, nowhere. You have nothing. And that's just where I'm at. So that's what little they actually have at this point that we know of, to date. And they still want to push for some more information. So either something is very damning in this federal gun charge business between Sarah and Stacey that has some hidden truth to Michael's case, maybe unrelated to Stacey and Sarah's knowledge. Maybe there's somebody behind the scenes, a third party that was around, that is the person that cops really want to look at. Or maybe that's the real person or people that set these guys up, which I do believe that there might be some truth to that one day. You might see that one day, I don't know. But a criminal enterprise, what a real criminal RICO conspiracy would look like, if you know what that means. If not, I can explain it another day. All right, so during this phone call, Tammy told Stacey that he would break her trust if she finds out that he had been lying to her. This is a very devastating thing to say with someone who has fetal alcohol syndrome, who has only his adoptive mother, to rely on for any kind of emotional support besides Sarah. Somebody with fetal alcohol syndrome, lower IQs, tend to have more extreme reactions to being told that they are not a good person or high, it's very severe for someone like Stacey. No matter what you think of him, doesn't matter. That's just how his brain works. So this is very manipulative. So on October 25th, 2022, Tammy tells Stacey that, quote, Sarah has made an appointment with her attorney. She's going to talk to them. I got a call from the detectives today, and I need to ask you some questions. The story that you told me about leaving at 3:30 and coming home at 7:30, I know that's not true. They sent me photos with the timestamp of when you left and when you came home. Left the house at 7:08, not 3:30. You did leave the house at 3. You went to the splash pad. It was at 3:23. It was at 3:23 that he was seen on the splash pad to get his can of dip that slid under the freaking seat. So that's not necessarily wrong, is it? But she's getting information from the detectives to make it seem very nefarious, right? It's very clear here. So you left at 7:08 and you did not get back home until 11:22 p.m., which is what they were referencing all of the suspects besides Brandon. Adrian. He didn't go to CUNA to get the Mercedes, but they all pretty much said that they didn't come back till late that night. They might have been off a few hours, but I don't see this as anything that they're trying to hide. You got to give me more than that, because people sometimes aren't good at knowing exactly what time it was, especially people like the Wondras. Tammy went on to tell Stacey that they have something that Brandon has said. They have Sarah going to talk to you. I'm telling you, I'm trying to help you here. So she's not even really sure or can't remember, it seems, what to say to him. Right? She probably forgot the plot. But Tammy also tells Stacey that they have some forensic evidence that they can't tell me about. Footnote number 3. This is untrue. As evidenced in the preliminary hearing transcript, see reporter's transcript of the proceedings held on March 5th, 2026, page 83, lines 1 through 10. And I read that earlier, which basically Detective Kelleher states that there was no evidence. None. Zero. Nada. All of this is circumstantial, guys, based on Stacey's flapping gums. That's it. And maybe an inference from a dog that might have alerted after the excavation happened. Not before, after. Meaning dirt was already dug up. You're going to find something if you dig quite a bit of feet down into where the irrigation pipes are, where things decay all the time. Period. It's just maddening, this case. I'm going to check in my chat really quick, take a break. I'm trying really hard to be cool, calm, and collected and not put y'all to sleep at the same time. But yeah. Sunflower says, I don't even feel this was tunnel vision. I feel they knew exactly what they were doing. I agree. Honey, I agree with that 100%. At first, I thought this was unintentional. I now feel this is very intentional. After reading a little bit more into this, I think it's damn near criminal what they did. And we'll get to it. Just wait. It's really upsetting me. I'm kind of shocked that I got so that mad. And maybe it's because I am just very, I'm a human being, first of all. And I want to protect people with vulnerabilities like that, like Stacey and Sarah, who are vulnerable to being exploited by people. And that's all people have been doing this whole time. And very little amount of people like myself and others in this chat actually care and see what it really is. And you wouldn't want that for your own family member. You wouldn't treat people like how they're treating them. It's a shame. And this is what Michael's case has been reduced to. That's what makes me sad. There's nothing just about it at all. Nothing. Michael did not deserve this. It is disgusting. I'm glad that you guys see it. I think they all know all along what they're doing and still do. Prosecuting an innocent, easy target and protecting the guilty and knowing who they are. I agree. And people need to start sharing this kind of stuff with others that will cover it, because it won't matter what I say on this small little channel, who rarely goes live anymore. People need to start waking up to this. What a waste to just wrongfully convict someone that looks like he could commit the crime with circumstantial evidence. That is horseshit. Prayed is a great, yeah. They preyed on her while praying with her. Excellent. That's exactly right. Very good. Colorado cops like to murder autistic people too. Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. I think that it's obviously, it happens more places than others in certain areas of the country, but the baseline is still the same. If you're mentally ill, good luck to you. And that's not how it should be. It is sick. Yeah. we can't keep doing this to people in this day and age with all of the resources we have. And if your soul can allow the hatred on people who are assumed innocent until proven guilty, if you could hate on them so badly that you make flyers with their faces on it, if you could call them names, derogatory names, at that, shame on you. I've seen it for years now happening, and I just, it's really pathetic. They have no soul. None. All right. On November 4th, 2022, very important date as well, Tammy returned a phone call from the detectives as they had tried to reach her earlier in the week. During that phone call, the detectives asked Tammy to put pressure on Stacey, her own son, because they are too coward enough to do it. Cowards. Ugh. So that he would tell detectives what he knew about the disappearance of Michael Vaughan. As part of that phone call, the detective started off by telling Tammy that Nina, which is Juanita, Aunt Nina. As part of that phone call, the detective started off by telling Tammy that Nina attempted to call her because she is really good at handling Stacey, but he lies all the time. That's true. He does lie a lot. But why is it any of her right? Why are you putting the mother in a position to do dirty detective work? Detective Kelleher, you are pathetic. Shame on you, girl. Somebody take that badge. Quick. Because if you try to pull that shit with me and my family, you would not have a badge. Not ever again. Don't do it. Not in this area. There is a footnote 4 here. There's an exhibit G007. So let's go read that real quick. And I hope this brings shame to all of your family and all of your houses. The Montague versus, Romeo and Juliet. So footnote 4, the media that was provided to defense by the state was saved in different formats, and all jail calls are recorded in their entirety on one track. When the detectives utilized audio-only recorders, the entirety of the conversation is in one track. However, when the detectives utilized their on-body cameras, they were recorded in 10-minute increments, leading to multiple tracks from an interview. For ease, I have listed the audio with a track marker and timestamp. For example, this exhibit means that the information is in track number 7 from this time. And exhibits provided on the USB might contain several tracks in one folder. So it's just explaining how, giving the judge an easier way to know how to break down that exhibit, that media, which is very nice. Very nice. Just want to make sure we didn't miss anything good, because sometimes those footnotes are baller. They have all the good stuff. All right, the detectives informed Tammy that Sarah had asked for a deal and is making the first move. We now know that to be, oh, wait, I got a soundboard thing up, because I miss my soundboards. It puts a pep in my step.
My detector test determined that was a lie.
That was a lie. Sure was. She wasn't making nothing. Matter of fact, in her federal case, there was a clause that states nobody talked to her while she's in Washington County. None of you. Her lawyer put that in. Don't come to me and ask me for nothing about anything unless I have a lawyer present. And I wonder if that was violated or not. But anyway, it is also related that Brandon is talking to his mom. The detectives then remind Tammy that they are not bluffing, that they have some information related to the disappearance of Michael Vaughan that connects Stacey including the photograph of them leaving at 7:08 and forensic phone evidence putting them in the circle during the time of Michael's abduction. None of that information means squat. Because we cannot tell you, they cannot tell any of us, that just because the dad said last seen at 6:15 doesn't make it so. We don't even know what the neighbors' timestamps are because Miss Kelleher refused to give that or neglected to give those time frame, the actual time that the neighbors saw Michael on his street. That could have been 3 a.m. It could have been 2 p.m. Who knows? We don't really know. So we're basing it off of the trust of someone who failed 2 polygraphs. Sorry, I'm not buying it. Couldn't convince me. Not doing it. Not here anyway. But who am I? It is theorized that maybe this was just an accident. And people are going to start pointing fingers. But they do not want Stacey to take the fall. It's almost like trying to get your kid to confess when he's got, chocolate all over his face and the cookie jars broke on the floor and cookie crumbs are on his hands. But in this situation, and the detectives are the moms, right? But in this case, there's no cookie and there's no cookie jar. But there's a package of cookies in the cupboard. That's how this is giving me. Really just stringing some shit together to see what could happen. Although Sarah was recently on an involuntary commitment, the detectives informed Tammy that Sarah is playing a game of being crazy. You bitch. Who said that? I want to know. That is terrible. What if she really is crazy? It seems like she was diagnosed with schizophrenia, you sick son of a bitches. I hope that things happen in a civil matter. I hope and pray it does. That's all I can say. Exhibit G. Blah, 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 blah. The detectives begin to suggest to Tammy, I've got to reach out to you just a little bit stronger here because these detectives have really upped my arse. Stacey, give me something. But I've got to reach out to you just a little bit stronger here. And what I would ask, I think the best thing for Stacey, and tell me if you disagree, and that's fine. But if you would really put the pressure on him, he trusts you. Huh, sounds like a Chris Madonna move. And what I would ask, I think the best thing for Stacey, and tell me if you disagree here, Tammy, is that, and that's fine. That's fine. But if you really just put the pressure on him, tell him about the buffet analogy. Okay? He trusts you, Tammy. That sounds like Chris Madonna. If I could put my money on it, that's who's talking. I hope that was a good rendition of him. The detectives tell Tammy that it would be the best thing for him. And they think the best person to do that would come from you. Tammy tells the detectives that she has tried to talk to Stacey about the truth, but that she's backing off because she has hit a wall. That's a good mom move. Maybe there's nothing to say. Chris, detectives, tell your administration there's nothing else to say. That would have been the right thing to say. The detectives then reiterate that they have a meeting with Sarah on Tuesday, then backtrack and say her attorney. But this causes Tammy to say, okay, I'll call him and let him know. Yeah. Oh, no. We don't want to give him the heads up. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa. Whoopsie-daisy. Somebody slipped. And the reason why I'm laughing at that, and you might not understand this yet, some of you, it's because this this was a ploy used by detectives on Tina, too, in regards to Brandon. And they said the same thing. Whoa, 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 whoa. Chris McDonough tried to really say, you can't talk to me like that, and you can't say anything like that. He was trying to get bossy with her. And she did the right thing and said, bugger off, bro. I have an attorney. You didn't think I did? Well, I do. So let's go. You feeling froggy? Jump. And he didn't like that very much. So it seems to be a reoccurring theme. Detectives tell Tammy that they are listening to Stacey and think that he is scared, but Sarah is going to throw him under the bus, and then it will be too late. Do you see the manipulation here? The lies. The straight up lies. Now, I know that everybody has watched the true crime shows, and it's okay for police to lie to suspects. It's okay. And you know what? It's legal. But how they do it and where they take it, as you're seeing here, using family members. And Tammy is not the first family member to be used. An 80-year-old woman was used who was not in the best health mentally either. These cops were exploiting any and everyone they could, guys. Everyone. To get this case shut. And I want to know who they're really protecting here. Who are the detectives protecting here? And why? To go this far to exploit people like this. It seems to be anyway. It's giving third-party culprits here. And damn, I don't know which ones. Is it law enforcement or is it other people or both? At this point, I can't even tell you. By the way, I figured out the reason Tyler was nowhere to be found by Buggy on Brandy's live. That she deleted I didn't know that. Is the same reason Tyler fell asleep both times he ordered pizza. Really? Don't tell me that happened again. I can't. Let's table that conversation. Don't get me riled up. That sounds exactly like suffering succotash himself. It does. It does. That was perfect. Cracked me up good. I'm glad. I think I did a pretty good job on that one. I'm in screaming Chris done it for the last 4 years at least, right? Like, they're not even good at telling lies, right? I have never trusted him, right? I did in the very, very beginning of Summerwell's case, but then when I saw him go after Dawn Wells in the way that he did, and then exploited, in my opinion, his sister, that's where I said, nope, he likes to exploit people. Like, that was my first red flag of exploitation. He exploits victims. And then I just kind of backed away. And then when he came out with Michael's case, I was like, oh, fuck you, buddy. Yeah. Well, actually, the recording of him kind of coaching Brandy on how to prevent the public from hating on the father of failing two Pollys. That was where I drew the line. As would you, right? They advised Tammy that she is going to lessen her responsibility. And if Stacey would just step up and protect himself a little bit, it'd be for his best. Oh, they really care about him. They care about these two people so much that they went through to the mother to try to get the best for him. Fuck that. That's a bunch of garbage. The detectives reminded Tammy that Stacey called her really upset after Michael's disappearance, and everyone is going to point the finger at Stacey. Oh my God! The amount of finger pointing and emotional blackmail that is going on at this point in time is, I want to throw up. They will do whatever it takes, which doesn't feel good to me. In the sense of you do whatever you can to find the culprits of a missing child. No, there are fucking rules, and there's a limit. There's also ethics and morals that you were obligated by as someone who worked in law enforcement or is currently in law enforcement. There is a boundary. Okay? And these detectives are breaking that boundary. So they remind Tammy that Brandon is starting to want to talk about it through his mother. So they did, remember, I just told you, they tried this shit on Brandon's mother, and she wasn't about that life. Gang. She didn't have it. She let that man know exactly where he could take that gobbledygook he was saying to her and shove it. And I'm proud of her so much. That is a mother. That is a mother who defends her babies like a lion in a cup. That's what I would expect a mother to do. That's the right thing to do. No matter if they're involved or not in any crime. Because I'm sure that Tina would have said something if she actually knew of anything. She's not protecting a killer. She's not protecting information. That's bullshit. She's protecting her child, who is being exploited by police. Period. Because if they actually had something, they wouldn't say that they're not going to arrest them later down in this very document. That's right, folks. You're going to see that they're not going to arrest those folks, the others. That's what's being alleged anyway. We'll get to it. Tammy and the detectives devise a plan to call Sarah's mom so that she can in turn tell Stacey she talked to Sarah's mom. However, the detectives asked her to keep what they have talked to her about close to the vest. Keep our secrets, would ya? Go ahead and put this very heavy burden of doing detective work to yourself. And not only that, do some kind of manipulation on your son, whom you love. But keep it to the vest. We don't want anybody getting information that would jeopardize the best interest of your son. Horse manure. What about Michael's best interest? Is doing this to people and getting a false confession in Michael's best interest? In the victim's sibling's best interest? I don't care about the parents' best interest. Because that's what I said. I'm talking about the people who loved Michael, who was close to Michael, who were also minors who were innocent. Who were dragged into this too. Thank you, Lies Ketchup One Day, for the 30 clutches. Just don't clutch them pearls. We don't do that here. Clutch them balls, rather. Thank you, love. Detective Cribben, I'm kind of liking this whole jewel thing. Redeem jewel thing. I still don't understand it, but it's fun. Detective Cribben then tells Tammy that we can clear him and maybe he can get away. Cribben, the same one that had his son go and sneak the apology letter that was not in plain view. There was no search warrant for in the jail. Oh, Cribben. You're showing your arse there, buddy. Yikes. You know that he was involved in a shooting in New Meadows when he was a police officer there. And it was a big stink in like 2016 or 18 or something. So maybe when he moved to Fruitland and was hired on there, he was trying to keep a low profile until, Dad, damn it, there's a missing kid. High profile. And you didn't see much of Cribben ever during this investigation. That's because he was behind the scenes doing some shit. Doing some shady shit, in my opinion. While discussing Sarah's mental health, the detectives tell Tammy that as the Bible said, oh, Lord help me. The detectives tell Tammy, as the Bible says, the truth will set you free. Help. And that good people sometimes do dumb things. And if Stacey comes up and said, this is what happens, this is where he is, or this is where he was, and we hear that on the tapes, we don't even have to contact him. Oh. Don't rage. Eve, take a breath. Take a breath. Calm down. Calm down. Oh my. If Stacey comes up and said, this is what happens, this is where he is, or this is where he was, and we hear that on the tapes, that's a wrap, babe. Your job's done. We're going to give you a gold medal. We might even add you to the Cold Case Foundation as a volunteer for how awesome you did getting your son to confess. Damn. Work done. Let's go home, guys. Fuck you, Chris McDonough. Get out of these cases. Get out of these missing children cases and don't come back. You have no business being in anywhere near a missing child's case. I don't care who you talk to in the 90s in jail, like a predator. I don't give a shit. You tried to pin or help pin a 14-year-old boy to confess to murdering his sister when he didn't. And you got away scot-free with that. I am so angry. Whew. Reel it in. We will verify that information independent of him and say Stacey shared this information. And then we will talk to the district attorney. No promises. But you know, they weigh that stuff very heavily. Oh, do they? Do they weigh heavily or do they weigh the stuff heavily? I think there might be an error in this fucking thing. Throughout the rest of the 90-minute conversation, the detectives tell Tammy that she is very important to Michael Vaughan's case by the fact that you're communicating with him. And he's being open with you, Mama. We're grateful for everything you're helping us with. We know that Michael's family would be grateful. No, they're not. We know that Michael's family would be grateful as well when this all comes out. That's a lie. I'm so angry. Take a break. Let's go to the chat. You've been hit by a non-criminal. Sarah, are you okay? Are you okay, Sarah? We know you didn't do it. You didn't do it. We know that, Sarah. Was it at the hotel in New Meadows? It was at the police station, actually. Somebody was driving in. Let me clear that up real quick with Crimin. I do believe that was the right thing to do. Shooting into the vehicle that was actually coming into the police station. Guy was insane. And it was a fast situation that happened within seconds. So, I don't blame anyone for that shooting. It was justified, absolutely. However, when things happen like that, you get kind of stained. Because people out there are always going to try to blame the cops for every situation. And that was not one of them. But I believe that probably did not wear well in the community. So, low profile. And that probably was traumatic. You don't want to have to shoot somebody like that. I mean, that would be very hard to deal with. But I digress. Yeah. I think this involvement goes way deeper than that. Yeah. I think somebody's protecting someone. I think that there is a family maybe in Fruitland that's well known, or maybe one of their own. Who knows? I'm not going to go point fingers like these motherfuckers. But what I will say is that it's giving protection from the real perpetrators. Why would that be, and what's the incentive? And why would Chris McDonough help with that? Well, he has his own vested interest in missing child cases because they're profitable to him. But why would the police go all of this way to exploit people like this? That's a good question. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't. Suffering Succotash again. You can tell when it's him, I swear, right? Because we've listened to him on his show. We know what he sounds like, meaning Chris McDonough. Tammy tries to caution the detectives that based on Stacey's mental health that she has been dealing with since he was a child is severe and has concerns that his brain doesn't fire correctly. True. And it seems smarter than he is. This is very poignant. The mother is saying, now look, Stacey has his limits here. He's been dealing with a lot. He's in prison. There's concerns. A mother knows their child, okay? Let's see what he says. The detectives were aware that based on Stacey's diagnoses of an intellectual disability, ADA, you better come in and do something about this shit. ADA, where are you? Because of Stacey's diagnosis of intellectual disability and fetal alcohol syndrome, he was susceptible to false confessions. They admit to this. Kelleher said she doesn't recall that on the stand, y'all. She said she was not aware. Let's play it for the people that don't know. This case is falling apart faster than the timeline at the very beginning of this case. Hell, it still isn't even a thing. It's all speculation. Let's go to my YouTube channel and let's go look at a short. I will show you what I'm talking about. Detective Kelleher acting dumb in regards to the false confession thing. I guess I could have just clicked on my icon, but whatever. I'm in my anger feels right now. Leave me alone. I'm doing my best. Oh, wait, shorts.
You remember the FBI's behavioral analysis unit telling you that Stacey would be particularly prone to false confessions?
I don't know what they said specifically.
Was there any DNA analysis of which you were made aware that connected Stacey to Michael Vaughan in any way?
Nothing that I was made aware of.
Was
Officer, she just.
I'm sorry. I lost my place. I'm so sorry. I got scroll happy. Hold on. Let me start over. I'm trying to find the FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit testimony. Here we go. Sorry about that.
you remember the FBI? Did he say on several occasions that he just wanted out of custody?
He said that.
You remember the FBI's behavioral analysis unit telling you that Stacey would be particularly prone to false confessions?
I don't know what they said specifically.
Do you remember that part?
No.
And here you have it, folks. What I have been screaming from the rooftops even before I knew anything about the medical background of Stacey Wondra. This is everything. I have been saying it time and time again. This guy seems to be in the mentals of someone who might false confess to get ahead. And damn, it seems to be accurate. And this detective ignored it or can't remember. So if she was told this, or any of the detectives on this case, and they ignored it, She doesn't remember what they told her. Well, okay, the detectives were aware that based on Stacey's diagnoses of intellectual disability and fetal alcohol syndrome, that he was susceptible to false confession. So which one is it? Do you remember, or are you lying about not remembering, Miss Kelleher? Take the badge. Take it. Take it. However, the detective still pressed forward, asking Tammy to put pressure on Stacey to at least tell her what he knew about the disappearance of Michael Vaughan. While discussing the phone call with Stacey and Tammy, the detectives offer advice about how not to let Stacey wiggle out of an answer. And when Tammy asks what they said because she is writing it down. Tammy, I know you feel bad, lady. I'm sure you do, but damn. She was just trying to help, but damn. The detectives replied to tell Stacey, I need you to be 100% honest about this little before Sarah is. I don't know what that means. I need you to be 100% honest about this little before Sarah is. Oh, this little boy. Okay, because we don't know. And our concern is because he is so malleable. She's just going to throw him under the bus and walk away. So they were concerned to get him to be more honest about what he knew. What they were wanting Stacey to say something, anything, about where Michael is. But really they wanted him to turn on Sarah hard. And he did. He did exactly what they were trying to get Tammy to convince Stacey to do. Rat on his wife. Why? Why? Was the whole plan to get the group of people, these 4 people, to look, to convince the public that, yeah, these 4, Was it a motive of the detectives to look at these 4 suspects and know that because of their deficiencies in one way or another and how easily exploited they are, or exploitable they are, they needed one of them to say something. It didn't matter what it was. Just say anything. And Tammy is successful in this. Tammy succeeds in one way or another. This is horrible. Pathetic, disgusting, and so on par with some of the stuff that has been pulled before these 4 suspects were named. This is right on par with how things have been the whole fucking investigation. I can tell you that. It is so on par. So why protect real perpetrators potentially and pin it on these assholes? Why? There must be something really big under the surface going on. There must be. If you could certainly threaten to burn the police station down, right? And go run to the detectives' wives and tattletale on them, there must be something huge going on that we never saw or do not know about that needs to be picked apart. I think we should. I think we're gonna. A few hours after Tammy got off the phone with the detective, she had a video visit with Stacey. During that conversation, Tammy, in a chiding mother tone, informed Stacey that she talked to the detectives today and they presented more evidence to her as well, as told her that Sarah has an appointment next week where they are going to talk to her. Tammy, and I think that that's a lie because I'm pretty sure, from my understanding, from what I've heard by someone very close to Sarah, that never happened. Tammy tells Stacey, as the detective coached her to do, that's exactly what they did, that her trust is wavering, and if he isn't being truthful, then he will lose her. Oh, wow. The emotional manipulation is thick on poor Tammy. Now I know why she did what she did. She was absolutely guilt-tripped into this. No doubt about it, you pathetic pieces of shit, law enforcement. You make everyone that's a good cop and a good investigator look bad when you do this stuff. Yeah, but they blame you for protecting bad people. The fuck? Okay. Truth tellers are bad now, I guess. I don't have to lie and make up cockamamie things. I have the receipts. But no, that's not good enough. We got to manipulate and circumstance our way through this whole thing. It's just poor Michael. God and his siblings, when they know the truth about what really is going on in this investigation, I hope they can heal one day. I swear to God, I hope they do. You deserve it. You deserve to be at peace. And I know that's impossible with a missing brother, but you deserve better than this. You did, and so did Michael. Makes me sad. November 5th. Okay, so we're on from the 4th. A lot happened. A lot of emotional turmoil and manipulation of Tammy using Brandon's mother, who, from my understanding, they hadn't even met yet. They only talked on the phone, I think, at that point to Tina, maybe. By the way, they bum rushed Thanksgiving. Her Thanksgiving, and ruined Thanksgiving for her. That was nice. Fuck y'all for that. Oh, Kelleher. Girl. You nasty. Within hours of the phone call with his mother, Stacey asked the Washington County deputies to reach out to the detectives so that he could talk to them. Within hours of the phone call, Stacey asked the Washington County deputies to reach out to detectives, aka more than likely Bryce Crimmon, Detective Scott Crimmon's son. More than likely. Although the interview occurred on November 5th of 2021, it began in the early morning hours around 1 a.m. and lasted for over 5 hours. I think they meant 2022. Obviously, it's up here, so Scrivener's error issue. Scratch the 2021. That is supposed to be 2022. The interview occurred in a small room where Stacey was interrogated by Detective Crimmon, Kelleher, and McDonough. That's where you see the leak footage that the mother requested to be released, that she got in 2023. During the 5 hours, there was not a single break. Not a single break in the 5 hours. Wow. And Stacey did not leave the small room, although Crimmon read Stacey his Miranda rights. When asked if he understood his rights, Stacey responded that it's not a big deal. Like I said, some of the information I have, ... I didn't know the information until my mom started going into detail about what you guys have talked about to her, and got to thinking. That's a dangerous place to be. Got to thinking about the people that lived at the house at the time. Ooh. I think that my theory on people being around that were not good people is coming to fruition. Guys, I'm going to take a break really fast and look at the chat. Yep, detectives absolutely coached her. No doubt. That's one hell of a statement indeed. Maybe this info should have come out before Mama Bear and Co. released his confession. 100%. 100%. Like I said, she's going to end up getting it thrown out because of that in a different way than you would think. But we really don't need that. That whole thing was to corrupt a jury. That's what that was. Make sure that if that gets thrown out one day, by God, you're going to hear it anyway, and I'm going to put it out myself because I'm in charge now. Okay. I truly don't understand how anyone can read this and not use common sense and say the lawyer misconstrued it. Who said that? They need a spanking. They need a belt, because that ain't... And I don't even believe in that. But that one is ridiculous. If that's who I think it is, Miss Orangutan, no ma'am. She better not have said that. My daddy told me to. My daddy, are you proud of me, daddy? I don't recall. Yeah. Inside jokes, guys. If you're watching the replay and you're lost, just hang on and bear with us, okay? It's been a long road, and we have inside jokes that sometimes you're just going to have to not know what it means. Although the detectives knew that Stacey was intellectually disabled, and was diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome, they did not ask Stacey to repeat back what his rights were or question him any further than asking if he understood. I wonder if that is a requirement and or a suggestion somewhere in the policy of whatever when it comes to people with intellectual disabilities. Maybe the ADA is trying to put those policies in place. God, I hope so. Maybe they're already in place. We'll see. Don't forget that this is a civil violation. You're a, what was it, 14th and 4th? No, 3rd and 14th. Fuck, let's just go back up. My brain's too fried right now. What was it? We're getting there. Hold on. 14th Amendment violation. Let me go down. My brain is toasty-oasty. Statement of facts. It's 2 violations, definitely. And I think it was the 3rd and 14th. It doesn't matter. One of those. Oh, 5th and 14th. Thank you. I wasn't too far off. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's a little late. Do you I don't even understand. I still don't even understand, apparently, obviously. Okay, scrolling back down. Thank you so much for that, Sunflower. All right, one momento, por favor. Oh, poor Sarah. That really still irks me, guys. You should be outraged. Outraged. Could you imagine if you had family members who struggle with mental health be in this same situation? I would be. You get a subpoena and you get a civil lawsuit and you get a civil lawsuit. I would be handing them out like candy. All right. During this interrogation, as well as the following week of interrogations over several days, the detectives knew that, according to the FBI, that Stacey was susceptible to false confessions. Noticed that during further investigation, the Behavior Analysis Unit with the FBI, while inconsistent on some matters, indicated that Stacey would be prone to false confessions if sufficiently pressured. And they did it anyway. They did it anyway. So, Chris Medina, are you a plant? Hell, he might be a Fed plant. This is just me speculating. He was in there to see what was going on because the feds weren't getting through to maybe the local police. And the Idaho State Police wasn't getting through either. So maybe this was a sneaky deaky kind of situation. I am totally pulling this out of my butt right now. But is it impossible? No, it's happened before in cases, actually. Look at the Karen Reed case. However, even with that initial warning, they interrogated him anyways. The only way Chris Medina could ever redeem himself from this, in my opinion, on this case, is if what I just said rings a little true, and that could never come out. He would never admit to that. His Fed friends, he has Fed friends. Okay? Definitely. Maybe this was just a ploy to see what the police were up to and how far they would go. I don't know. I'm talking so much speculation. Do not quote me on that as truth at all. But it wouldn't surprise me, honestly. Maybe this is all a sham. And there's many people going down. Stacey told the detectives that his cellie happened to know Adrian. And knew Adrian was a human trafficker. That's interesting. Who's this cellie? Stacey goes on to tell the detectives that on July 27, 2021, when Michael went missing, in the afternoon, Sarah asked him to run a taxi ride. He stopped at the splash pad. This live is for entertainment purposes only. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty by a court of their peers. I'm not bashing. I am not harassing anyone, by the way. And you shouldn't either. He stopped at the splash pad to retrieve a can of chew, as we discussed many times, because he dropped it in the passenger seat. I didn't even know if it was the passenger seat. I just literally guessed that. And, hey, look at there. And he was too big to reach over and get it. Oh, I said that too. It's like I know things. Then once he got home, Sarah, Adrian, and Brandon were home. Which the timeline adds up. They both came home around 5 o'clock. Okay. Stacey got home at 4:54. And I believe they said 5:12. I think. Or 5:56, some shit like that. Or 5. So that would make sense. But remember, on the last live, keep in mind that the defense is saying that there's no information that after 5, when they got home in 7:08, when they left, nobody went anywhere. None of the vehicles were on camera. But the PCA, Kelleher stating that they were. That Sarah and Brandon, and maybe even Adrian, got into the blue Toyota Corolla, left, went to Ontario, and came back. So we don't know what's actually true yet. And I would love to know, well, which one is it? That's conflicting. And my friend, you know who you are. Thank you for pointing that out, because I was confused and you opened my eyes. Thank you for that. It was decided that they would go to Cuna to get Brandon's car. And Stacey had left the Lexus key on the table and Adrian was home alone. Rocking around the Christmas tree. Like the Home Alone. He was like, yeah. Jumping on the beds. Woohoo, I'm by myself. Ordering pizzas. Keep the change, you filthy animal style. He was all alone. Stacey told the detectives how sick he is, that Michael is missing, and that this has affected him. Stacey provides that Adrian was home alone when Michael went missing. When Stacey finishes his monologue, he apologizes that this is all he has for detectives, and that they had to come out that late just to hear that information. Sorry about your wasted trip, my guy, but that's what I got. That's what I told you last time, and I'm telling you again. I just wanted to know what you were telling my mom about. What is this mom business? Why are you trying to get at my mom? What do you know? What deal? And he fell for it, damn it. Stacey fell for the lie trap. Ugh. We would not be here if it weren't for that. However, the detectives were not satisfied with that and wanted more. So they continued questioning Stacey. I'm just guessing that the pizza wasn't from the Pizza Hut. Correct. It was Domino's. During the interrogation, Stacey tells the detectives that Adrian spent a lot of time in his room, and Sarah was helping him set up fake profiles to catfish people. That is a thing. That is a criminal thing that happens. People, will set up these profiles of pretty women, and then you're going to go meet up with them, getting these men to go meet up, and then they get their ass kicked and their wallet stolen. So, like a real kick to the ego and literally the face by getting robbed and not getting any. It's a terrible situation. My God. Maybe do the normal thing and go fucking date people. People that are trying to get hookups. I think that's called prostitution. I'm pretty sure. Stacey informed the detectives that when he got to Brandon's mom's house, that he thought Brandon went inside the house. Remember, this is all made up. Allegedly. The detectives asked, thinking back on that now, what do you see in the back of your truck now? To which Stacey responded, a tow strap and maybe a tow chain. Doesn't mention Michael. Doesn't mention a duffel bag. He's telling the truth here, I think. It was literally a tow strap. And that thing did break. And they sure should have had it in evidence. I hope we get to see the tow strap. I can't wait. This is ridiculous. So no mention of Michael in a duffel bag. Yet. And then Stacey then told detectives about the mishap where the tow strap broke because Sarah was learning to tow and stopped too quickly. Can't tell you how many times me and my dad have done this. Or me. I'm not a good tower. While Stacey was explaining where he left the Lexus key, the detectives randomly asked Stacey, what about the duct tape in your truck? In the side of the bed? Stacey responded that it was balled up from helping someone move. Now we know the truth about the duct tape. We were told this whole time that Sarah and Brandon and Adrian are duct taping and doing all these things. You know, post telling the detectives nothing. The false confession, if you will. He's saying that he helped somebody move and the duct tape was stuffed in one of those little posts in the back of the truck. I believe that to be true. That's more plausible than Michael. So he's telling the truth about the very beginning things. They're trying to coerce him into something. They're even going into the little details. They're trying every little thing to get him to just go, ugh. Fine. Okay, here. And he did it. That's the problem. He fell for it. Stacey responded that it was balled up from helping someone move. After explaining in more detail the drive back from Cuna, Stacey tells the detectives again, and so that's why I had called you guys. And that's why we're sitting here. He says why. I want you guys to be able to find Michael. Or find this kid. Then the detectives start to introduce hypothetical questions and starts asking Stacey, try to think about that and give me an explanation as to what you believe. Huh? Dude. What? When the detectives asked Stacey when the first time he learned Michael was missing, he informed them it was when he pulled back into their neighborhood after Michael was missing at 11:30ish. He informed them that it was when he pulled back into the neighborhood after going to Cuna. As the interrogation goes on further, the detectives and Stacey talk about how Adrian was acting the next morning, and Stacey talks about Adrian and being involved in kidnapping. Not kidnapping, in trafficking. That was told, I think the kidnapping part was also told incorrectly by the detectives, but I am only speculating on that. The detectives asked Stacey what human trafficking means. Or no, it was his mother through the detectives. So maybe Tammy misunderstood what the detectives were telling her, and she misread it. And, she was writing it down furiously, like, hold on. You want me to say this? Okay, that. And okay, got it. And keep it close to the vest. Do your job for you. Got it. Okay. So maybe there was a slip of the tongue. An error of the kidnapping. Anyway, as the interrogation goes on further, the detectives and Stacey talk about how Adrian was acting the next morning and being involved in the kidnapping. Or Adrian specifically. And then the detectives ask Stacey what human trafficking means to him. Okay. To which Stacey tells them selling kids. Well, that's not what human trafficking is, babe. I mean, it can. Human trafficking comes in different forms. There's, human trafficking can go from age 1 or earlier to 120. Human trafficking. But there's also different branches and variations. And kids being sold are typically from their own parents 95% of the time. I would say even 99% of the time. It's a family member selling their own child. For whatever reason. Or for whatever cause. It doesn't matter. It's an epidemic. Rarely are people snatching kids to sell them for money. Okay, so when asked how much you could get for a kid, Stacey responds he does not know. But one time he saw a pair of kids' shoes for sale at Walmart for $25 grand. And he reported the scam. He saw a pair of kids' shoes once for $25 grand and he reported the scam. Well, what a due diligent guy. Oh my God. So when asked how much he can get for a kid, he doesn't know. But I guess he compares a child to a pair of shoes for $25,000. Stacey, what the fuck? Oh my God. Help me, Lord. Why are we here? Help. Somebody put some reason into these locals. Because if I was a local, I'd have pickets. Signs. You're wasting my tax dollars on this shit? We need new people to be elected because this is bullshit. About 2 hours into the interrogation, they tell Stacey that they appreciate his candor, but they have caused them great alarm. The detectives tell Stacey that they're getting signals that his wife is going to throw him under the bus. Signals? They're getting signals? They're getting vibes? They're vibe checking Sarah? She didn't pass the vibe check? Oh. So more inferences and more speculation. Got it. So the detectives tell Stacey that they're getting bad vibes, so signals that his wife is going to throw him under the bus. And not only back up, but keep going over him. They're going to run his ass over and then some. They're going to double tap, triple tap him. Bumpity bump. Damn, that's brutal. I'd be a little scared about that mental picture. Oh shit, she's gonna ramrod me. I don't want that. I'm a man, damn it. Can't do that. I gotta get ahead of this. Mom is pressuring me. Oof. There's a lot of pressure. What happens when someone like Stacey is in a pressure cooker of a situation? Per a case study about people with fetal alcohol syndrome who confess falsely while in prison, they do what they're told to do. They comply to get out of it. That's exactly what it is. Are you getting my fucking drift here, guys? They coerced this man, period. And they did it in the sneakiest of ways. By going through third parties to the family members. Sneaky shit. Yucky. The vibes are off. She's saying, yo, cat, bro. Damn, I don't think they even have electronics that expensive right now. If that doesn't show his mentality, then I don't know. Right. And people are exploiting this. The family, the police, y'all are sick individuals. Readjust your priorities, please. I'm telling you. Don't go down with this ship. Please don't go down with this ship. I'm begging you. They tell Stacey that his mother is losing faith in him. God damn, right in the kisser with that one. They are hitting. Isaiah was not lying when he said, Tony Geddes, during the preliminary hearing at the closing arguments, he said they were hitting him hard. They were hitting everybody hard. They were hitting his mother hard, Sarah hard, Kay hard. Kay is Sarah's adopted mother. They were going for cutthroat, guys, which is right on par. I think there's a problem in the water in the Payette area. That Snake River has got secrets. The detectives tell Stacey and Brandon told them that after Stacey's interview, he called Brandon to work on an alibi, to which Stacey denied. which actually I have proof of that. I've showed it on here. I'm not going to do it tonight, but I've showed you the screenshot of Brandon and Stacey on Facebook Messenger in 2021 arguing about the vehicles, and Carson needs to get his shit together and fix my vehicle, says Brandon. Would you please go over there and ask him? I need one of my cars ASAP, bro, or I'm going to go to jail for not working. That's one of my conditions for probation. Like, come on, bro. And he said, no, we're not your little bitch. We're not going to go talk to Carson. We don't associate with his pedo ass. We're not doing it. You go do it yourself. And he's like, dude, you're right next door. Could you just please tell him to do that so we can move on with our lives? And then Stacey says, if you can learn to write that letter, because we would never harm a child, and if you could write that we were together picking up the Mercedes in Cuna, like, he literally says exactly what he's been telling the world. He says it in October of 2021 to just write the letter, bruh. And he doesn't. Because Brandon's lazy. He's not worried about it. He knows he's innocent. And Stacey isn't complying with his demands, so he's like, fuck you. That's the whole alibi that people are up in arms about. Because they run their mouths over there and they don't know the truth. They assume. Because they have one source that tells all. That don't know shit. Not everything. So this alibi was a request by Stacey to help them out, and Brandon didn't want to do it. Out of laziness, I'm assuming. I don't know. When Stacey starts questioning why the detectives are focusing on him, the detectives backtrack and tell him, we are here in the middle of the night trying to understand the truth. Is that so? Is that so? The detectives then start asking Stacey questions about why Sarah would want to meet and talk about Michael. They tell him that they bought his couch, and it is now at the lab. Oh, okay, so that was the the $3,000 expense in about April or May of 2022 that are on the books there in Fruitland. Now I know where that is. Great. I'm going to check that off my list. $3,000 for testing. I think it was even more than that, but I know at least one charge was that. Okay. What about the November 2021 brown couch? Whose couch is that? Because those are two different charges. Somebody's hiding a couch. Methinks. The detectives then start asking Stacey questions about why Sarah would want to meet to talk about Michael. Why would he know? That makes no sense. They tell him that they bought the couch and is now at the lab when confronted with this. Stacey tells the detectives that Michael never sat on the couch. And if he did, he, Sarah, and Brandon were gone to Cuna. Now that is a very telling statement. Michael never sat on the couch, and if he did, he was away. He didn't know about it because they were not there. That's kind of actually like a bombshell moment. Not that I think that that's like suspicious, but I think that he's got the right idea. Somebody had your access to your home, bro. And I know that they did. A lot of people did. Not good people did. Very bad people did. And maybe somebody was watching that day. The moment Stacey left that house and it was empty, somebody was right outside waiting. You hear me? Yeah, I know things. I will not reveal it though. But just trust me, bro. After the detectives start asking Stacey on scales from 1 to 10 how possible it is certain things happen, such as Michael being at his house while he was gone, Sarah being involved with the disappearance if he is not, and if it's possible that Sarah, Brandon, and Adrian were involved. Methinks that his words were misconstrued, taken out of context. But I could be wrong. The detectives then tell Stacey not to disrespect himself. Just let us do that for you, buddy. And he should not trade Stacey for Sarah. Wow, what a manipulative little shit he is. The detectives then tell Stacey that Adrian and Sarah were having sexual relations behind his back. The drama interview room enters. Eve, any visitors possibly have connections to the fam? Ding, ding, ding. That's all I'll say. The detectives. Don't disrespect yourself, but I'm going to tell you something. Sarah and Adrian were bumping uglies. But don't disrespect yourself here. We're not trying to literally dig at your fucking core of who you are. We're not trying to break your spirit or your mind or anything. We really just want you to, like, comply, man. Just be reasonable. Pathetic. The detectives then tell Stacey, again, that, they were bumping uglies or whatever behind his back. And the detectives tell Stacey about another case that they worked on where the husband held out for as long as he could and then bit the bullet and was able to make it to the top of the truth mountain. No, you didn't. No, you didn't say that. You need a pop. How embarrassing. Make it to the top of Truth Mountain. Who said it? Which one of you said that horrendous shit? No. That tickled me. I'm sorry. Oh my God. The detectives ask Stacey about a big wheel being in his garage, to which he responds he never saw one. The detectives tell Stacey, I'm so tripping about the top of the truth mountain. The detectives tell Stacey that they can't make him believe that Sarah is going to throw him under the bus, but she will. She'll throw you under the top of the truth mountain too. Serious though. Stacey then asked to take all 3 lie detector tests to prove that he is not lying. Damn, they are really putting it thick. Not only are you going to take 1, you're going to take 3. The power of 3. God damn. That's a lot of tests. He already passed 1 in May. What do you want? You can't even get Daddy to pass the 2. Why don't you go back that way and get him to pass 1 in its entirety, and then we can worry about these motherfuckers. I'm hilarious. I'm sorry. I am tired. I will wrap it up very, very soon. They're putting some very unfair burdens on these handicapped people. This is so bad and not funny. It's funny, but it's not funny. I am fighting the devil right now. Okay. After the detectives pushed Stacey on why he would tell the detectives if he knew anything, he asked if we're done here, to which the detectives respond, no, I just asked you a question. Stacey was going to cut the tape. He was going to deuce out. Are we done here? I don't need you anymore. He did not need the detectives anymore. He was about to walk the fuck out, which he should have done, you idiot. I wish you would have. Stacey then tells the detective that he doesn't want to talk anymore. He tells them he has nothing else to say. Instead of the interrogation ending there, the detectives continue to talk about the lie detection test. He says that he doesn't want to talk anymore. Now, would that indicate that his rights were violated? He could have said, I would like to speak to an attorney. That would have been like it. But he didn't say that. He says he doesn't want to talk anymore. That would be a very sticky line, or a tricky line rather, on if that violated his constitutional rights. to keep being interrogated. I can't. I don't know. I'm not the legal expert here, but if I were to guess, you could raise the problems up to the court. It might be appealable, but I highly doubt it. Those things are very rarely used and overturned, murder convictions, right? Like, you'd have to really be violating someone's rights. So I don't know. But it is implied here that it could be. I don't know. We could raise that problem for you, prosecution. Okay, so before the detectives leave, they have a conversation in front of Stacey where one of the detectives asks, "Thoughts? Penny for your thoughts?" To which one of the other detectives responds, "I guess we work with Sarah. I'm set, bitch." Oh my God. I need a moment to soak that in. Hold on. Before the detectives leave, they have a conversation in front of Stacey where one of the detectives asks, "Thoughts?" To which one of the other detectives responds, "I guess we work with Sarah. I'm set." They manipulated him again before walking out the door. What a bag of assholes. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I just really needed a moment to soak that in my brain. We're good now. Assholes. Thoughts and prayers. My gas is flabbered so much right now. Manipulative little shits, and I know it's part of their job, but this is outrageous and kind of pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. So Stacey then informs them that Sarah is just as much of a liar, and the detectives tell him that they came to him first because they think Sarah pulls the strings. Ooh, manipulation station. Oh my God, it's pathetic. The detectives then tell Stacey that they think he is not being 100% honest, and then proceed to question him more. The detectives tell him to look at them, and at some point he is going to want this moment back. Bitch, that was funny. You can't get this time back. You're going to regret it. Pieces of shit. If I don't see some hate, not towards any of these detectives in any way, shape, or form at all, but if I don't see some inkling of conversation about this on the interwebs in regards to Michael's case, I'm gonna lose it. If we have to do the video thing, we will do the video thing to expose this. This is wrong. It could be legal all day, but ethically and morally, this is bullshit to do to someone who is mentally handicapped. You have no shame. My God. Pathetic. Somebody did not learn ethics from a very early age. The detectives tell Stacey that Adrian makes sense and ask if Sarah or someone could have put Michael in the back of the truck and hid it from him. The detectives then ask if Brandon could have helped Sarah and Michael into his home that night, or took Michael into his home that night. When asked if Brandon had anything with him that night, he responded to a backpack and maybe a duffel bag, and that backpack was dropped off to Brandon in I think like December of 2021. So I'm sure that detectives would have found that by then, or at least by now. And that duffel bag was not a huge duffel bag. So I want to know, where's the missing duffel bag in the shed of Michael Vaughan's home? Is there a missing duffel bag of the grandfather's? If there's not, I'll shut up and say I'm sorry. Not trying to be accusatory, but I know that you talked about it, Miss Ma'am over there. You talked about it to your friend. Where's the duffel bag? Because you said it was missing in that recording, Brandy. So is that missing or not? Are the cowboy hats and the horseshoes in it or not? Brandy, if you could clear that up, I'll apologize and take my public lashing on that and back away on that. But thank God I found that recording, because that's a real thing. Maybe I'm just looking into it too much. Just like y'all are with the duffel bag that's the size of a notebook. The detectives then asked what the backpack looked like. And he responded, red or orangish. And that he didn't know what the duffel bag looked like except lighter. To explain to Stacey why he didn't notice anything, the detectives tell Stacey that he is a big guy and it's possible that he didn't see what was going on behind him when he got in the truck. Stacey then tells detectives that Brandon put a duffel bag in the back of the truck. Wouldn't that be on CCTV footage? Yes, it would. The detectives then asked Stacey if the duffel bag looked heavy. The detective then asked Stacey, after he parroted back their thoughts, that if he's thinking if Michael was to be moved out of your house that night, it was in the back of the truck. They're feeding him information, planting the seed in his brain. I do this with my husband when I want something and I try to make it his idea. I do this to poor Mr. Eve sometimes. It is what it is. We got to do what we got to do sometimes. But this is on a very sinister level here. This is about a missing child. This is different. They're slowly planting the seed of a false confession. And they knew it from the FBI that this was the potential, and they got what they wanted. They were leading him to a trap. That's right. Doesn't even matter if he was dumb enough to do it. You don't get to victim blame Stacey for falling into the trap that was set up for him through his mother and his wife. And if you think that that's okay, everybody get the fuck out of my chat. I will not tolerate that. I will not tolerate exploiting a handicapped person. Sorry. When the detectives asked Stacey about what happened before the CUNA run, when Stacey repeats what he remembered about coming home to Sarah, Brandon, and Adrian being home, the detectives tell him that he is wrong because of the cell phone history. Okay? The detectives then give Stacey an out, telling him that sometimes victims who go through something traumatic don't remember everything perfectly. No, they don't forget. They don't forget the trauma. That's what trauma means. Traumatic experience. You can't forget, because if you could forget the trauma, you wouldn't have it. Period. Try explaining that to a vet who has PTSD. Do you think that they say they can't remember it? No, they can't stop fucking remembering it. It is really disgraceful that this is the excuse. It's almost like saying that you have dementia all of a sudden, when there's no evidence to support that. And conveniently, it's right before a trial where you're going to testify to. Cut the shit. Cut the shit. Not doing it. Keep lying. The detectives then ask Stacey again what color the duffel bag was, and Stacey responds that it was dark. The detectives then ask Stacey what Brandon brings out of his house, and if the bag looked different now. Thinking back and thinking, we're wondering if Michael could have been in that bag. The detectives are planting the seed again. So if you're asking, why would a man who didn't do something false confess? That's just stupid. He did it. He confessed. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And if I hear that one more time on the internet, they might get a rage post. Especially after reading this. So Stacey tells the detectives, to be honest, this is the poisonous fruit theory that you heard earlier. It's coming. It's clicking now. To be honest, with talking to you guys and everything, that's what we're going over. I would never thought of Sarah as the person, but all that stuff that links with the double dice and everything else like that. Double dice. Hold up. I need to slow my roll. I'm so sorry, guys. We're going to wrap it up in 10 minutes. I would never thought of Sarah as that person. But all the stuff that links with the double dice? Who is that? What is that? Is that a gang member? Is that a gang? I need to research this. I know the black and brown magic clicker is one over there, but whatever. And everything else like that, it makes me feel very skeptical that she would have a very big part in this. It should, because Sarah didn't do it. She was with you, dummy. Stacey also says, it's pretty weird that you can pinpoint this because I didn't think about it the way how you think about it. And it literally, no wonder she's like, I don't even know how to like. The detective, he's trying to form words he can't form. I don't even know how to express it. The detectives then tell Stacey that they think Sarah had something to do with this. Why? Why did the detectives think Sarah had something to do with this? Why would they do this to Sarah? Is it because they talked to Sarah and prayed with her and then got her fucking committed to a mental institution? Did she say something to you guys? Did she have a psychosis and you went, jackpot bingo, there's the one? Oh, the Double Dice Bar and Grill? Is there one over there? I don't know what that is. How many damn times did they have to correct him? Right. They were totally coercing him to false confess to the way that they wanted him to confess. Chris McDonough is a piece of shit. Period. The end. Trauma brain duffel bag sounds like words someone else spoke on in the past. I hope people see this for what it is. I pray. And I'm not a prayer, but I pray that people see this and catch on to what it really is. Because Michael deserves it so much. And his siblings. The detectives then tell Stacey that they think Sarah had something to do with this. The detectives also pressure Stacey on whether he saw the tricycle in the garage. So the detectives might just be telling Stacey that because they don't really believe it. They just want him to catch himself up in the lie and maybe he'll rat on himself eventually. I don't know. The detective tells Stacey that a lot of the evidence points to his house, and with his help, maybe we can understand what happened. What evidence? What loads of evidence? The canines? That hadn't happened yet? You haven't excavated it yet. Nothing, there's no evidence yet. There's no evidence even after that. Liars. They're lying. After using the 10-point scale, Stacey put Adrian at a 9. The detectives asked Stacey to work backwards. I don't even care or know what that is. They asked him where Michael would be, and Stacey responded, probably buried somewhere. He's guessing. Oh my God, this is the beginning of the end here. This is a hypothetical question. He's like, I don't know if Adrian could do it, which he's like on the high scale of being the one to do it, because he's, I guess, not a white person and has a criminal history and is alleged to be a trafficker. Okay, so he's ranking Adrian up there. And so he's using that as, okay, well, if he is the one that could have done something, maybe he's buried somewhere. They ask him who he thinks would have buried Michael. Then they remind Stacey that Sarah is likely to throw him under the bus since they are on the outs. Why are they going so hard on this poor girl, Sarah? This is where I get really defensive. So now I know the root cause of my anger from the last live. It's Sarah. They're poor girl. My fucking God. What did she do to you guys that made you want to, like, she must have embarrassed the detectives in some way. Like, there is something that she did to vindicate this case in some way, and they are pissed. Something has to happen. Like, I don't know what it is, but I would love to figure it out one day. because she did not deserve what they're doing. They drove her nuts and then got her committed. And who knows what her crazy ass said during this psychosis that she's prone to. God, the exploitation of this, it makes me want to cry. Could you imagine having mental issues like that and then having a group of powerful people in authority put you in a mental institution? Use your husband against you in your psychosis? It just breaks my heart that this happens. And the reason why I'm really so sad about it is because I've had an experience in my family where police has done that to them, to my family member, and ruined their life. And it really throws me back into that traumatic experience. I'm just being vulnerable with you guys. And these fucking assholes over there in Idaho are doing it like it's nothing to a girl who there's no indication she did anything. She's just got mental problems, just like Stacey. These undiagnosed mentally ill people are of the highest risk, like these two, and it breaks my heart. But Idaho, pew pew, shoot first, ask later, don't give a fuck about your feelings until it's about them. Some of the culture in Idaho is fucked in that way. They just want to convict you and move on with their day. And that's actually a USA problem. But anyway, I can't believe this is happening to them. I think it's all on purpose. It's all premeditated, and it's all to cover for something else. When the interview was nearing the end, the detectives tried to ask Stacey whether they had coerced him. Is she involved in this? The last thing we want the perception from the court or you or from anybody is that this was coercive in nature in relationship to you saying stuff about her. To which Stacey responds, I don't understand. Stacey, basically detectives try to ask him, do you think that we've manipulated you, coerced you? And if she's involved in this, the last thing we want is for you to think, or for the court, the last thing we want the perception from the court or you or from anybody is that this was coercive in nature. You fucking liar. That's exactly what you were trying to prevent by saying that. You are not cunning. Detectives, you are not that smart. You think you're going to cover your ass by saying a statement like that for legalese terms? Oh my God, I hate this man now. It's turned into full hatred. Ugh. I'm so angry. I am angry. I'm back to angry, guys. And then we're going to wrap up in 2 minutes. This comment came up after Stacey. This is a dangerous individual, Mr. McDonough. He has the ability to help put people away for life. Fuck this guy. This comment came up after Stacey tells the detectives, I think she's going to pawn it off on me. And learning everything that my mom is saying, and she is saying, and what I've learned here. So he's now convinced that the detectives wanted him to believe. And now the chess piece has moved into a favorable position for the detectives. And everything that my mom is saying that you fed her, detectives, she's saying, and what I've learned here, he's admitting that what he learned about the evidence was from the detectives through his mother. Boom, case closed. That's a big statement. That's a huge statement. So the assholes over there listening to this, read that statement a few times. I know it's going to take a minute for your brain to catch up. But this is proof that he didn't know shit. He was being fed information through his mother by the detectives, and that's how he knew all of the things that y'all are trying to speculate on how he actually knew firsthand. Idiots. It is very clear as day. The detectives told Stacey that it's really important to go back before you guys leave for CUNA that night and really work through that. As they have Stacey go through the time he was at the splash pad to the time that they left for CUNA, Stacey tells them that he stopped at the splash pad, did a taxi ride, and asked him to think of anything he could build off. When the detectives have Stacey walk through coming home, he told them that Adrian was sitting on the couch, and when prompted to talk about Brandon's duffel bag, he said it's behind the TV. Well, that should be a small duffel bag to fit behind a TV. When the detectives pointed out that there was about an hour missing from Stacey's memory, that was Juanita, he told the detectives that Adrian and Sarah liked to go to the dispensaries in Ontario, and Sarah came back home. With a backpack. I think this downloaded in a weird format. I'm doing my best here. At this point, the detectives introduced the thought that Sarah, Adrian, and Brandon came home with Michael. When questioned about this, Stacey says no, and the detective said, "I'm just asking." After this, Stacey informed the detectives this is all that he has for tonight, and the detective tells Stacey to think more about what happened, and if he thinks of anything else, they won't put it in the "he's coming up with more" column. Oh. Wow. Really telling on yourself there, detectives. Just great work. After 5 hours of constant interrogation, Stacey returned to his cell and he called his mother at 7:24 a.m. During the phone call, Stacey informed his mom that he didn't have any part in the disappearance of Michael Vaughan. He was talking to his cellie, who told him that Adrian was involved in human trafficking. Who's that? Who is that? Was it a plant? It was a plant, and you know it. It was a plant. It just so happens that somebody goes into the jail cell, his cellie, after Chris Madonna, and the detectives leave. There's a jailer named Bryce Crimmin, who is the detective's Crimmin's son. Oh, yeah. This is a great setup for an informant in the jail cell kind of situation. This happens all the time. People get paid for this as their job. Meaning felons who get life in prison or 40 years. This is their job to some prosecutors. Okay? Believe that. So this informant looking ass, in my opinion, jail cell buddy, says he knows Adrian and he's a human trafficker, that he left his Stacey said that he left his Lexus key on the counter when they went to CUNA, and that Adrian was alone at Red Wing House from 7:08 until 11:22 p.m. And that probably isn't true. It could be, but I don't think it is. We'll see. Oh, it's time to wrap up. Let's see how long we have until the next section. God, that's a lot. We'll stop there. Let's wrap it up. It's freaking 12:30 almost here. What a wild ride. I am not going to sit here and put people through 5 and 6 hours of this straight. This needs to be dissected slowly, and we need to roast it for what it is. Miss Abby Bulldog Broyles, who wrote this masterpiece, and we're only on page what? What is this page? 19 out of 54? Girl. She is the motion queen. All hail the motion queen. Beautifully done. So far, for sure. Wow. We're going to go over, obviously, the rest of it probably throughout tomorrow off and on while I can. I am so glad that things are falling apart in front of our eyes, as I said it would. But of course, that only really happens in the courts. But publicly, it is falling apart, as it should. This is a scam. Absolute scam. And I hope that you can see that, at least for what it is. I don't want to sway anybody's mind, but I do want you to see the reality. And that's what it's looking like to me. Amazing. All right, guys, thank you for being here. Get some rest. Thank you for your support. I'll see you on the next live. You know, as I say, drink your water. Your liver needs it. Not alcohol, water. And I will see you on the next live. Much love. Bye.
I'm sick of wasting time. I'll take a step back from all of this and try to find my way out of this shit. It's a labyrinth and I keep stumbling. I'm lost and broken, but I'm getting up again. They try to put me in a cage, but I won't get in. I look into the mirror and I see my better twin. I see my past life and I see my better twin. I can't let go. My hands are tied. I lose my way, but I know I'll find my way to the puzzle of truth.